Nice and loud. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. One more time. One more time. Here we go, here we go. I love you guys. One more time. You say he's just a friend. You say he's just a friend. Thank you. Yeah!
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's Plumes of Hazard. I'm Mass Blast 09, kicked out of my office. This is Understudy 77, Fubaka, the Angstful Vapor, and some bums that Understudy picked up from the street. Grim, I got a boner, so I use a pillow green, and Matt, stay waxing my friend.
Keep it going, keep it going. Here we go, here we go.
Keep it going.
Keep it going.
Oh, man.
/r/no context.
Seriously.
How are you guys doing tonight?
You don't need context.
One more time.
One more time. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm all right.
Tired as fuck.
Yeah.
One more time.
Have you people beat after driving all day?
Yeah. It wasn't a bad drive. Not really, anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Not trash about
Why
everybody.
that's being open.
You know this is all live, right? And I'm not muted.
No, it isn't.
What?
They're not mic'd very well.
Yeah, you want to talk about nice guy Grim Green? Somebody just said Grim's sock game is.
Here we go, here we go.
Game is strong. Say something.
Hey, you don't even have holes, man. That's all right.
No, I keep nice socks with nice patterns on them.
Those are some nice Old Navy.
Nick, that's so not metal.
Target. They're Target socks.
So not metal.
Target is definitely not metal.
Yeah, Grim Green is not metal. Not even a little metal.
Shut up.
I'm gonna get you something to play later, Masty. To show you how
Okay.
metal Grim Green is.
All right.
But anyway, should we do what we're all vaping on?
Yeah.
Probably.
What do you got, Foo?
Well, did that come out well?
Was that is that game time? Is that what that was?
Wow.
Was my knuckle cracking audible?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. I never knew if it actually went good.
Dude.
I've been doing this for how long?
Long enough.
I got the Goliath on the Massimo Mini.
True.
I was a Zorro when I got it.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
just thought chat. So I still have Angsty's lower third is now auto loaded to Plume,
I was talking, motherfucker.
and I have yours.
I didn't even notice.
I didn't either. That's an old one. Oh, you remember this one?
Oh, hey, look. It's our advertisements. That kind of makes me want to go back and find an old one.
We're good. We're good. Go, Foo.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Thank you for letting me speak.
I love how we all cut off Fu, who's got the least to say in this whole show.
Poor Foo. Poor Foo.
Come off from the James Martin.
I did?
Listening, poor Foo.
Por favor.
Anyway, I got the SX Mini, the Silo Beast on here with some Pistachio RY4 from Charlie Melville. Oh, I got Lushington and the Goliath. What else I got? Got a lot of things running right now. K-Fun with Raspberry on the poncho. And this little nifty dude with the Aeolus on it, which was just on this thingamajigger.
Are the Plumes of Hazard from Georgia?
I know this as the Chafords edition Titan.
I really like Dan's question of does Fu live in the laundry room?
Yeah.
Oh no, the laundry room's actually right next room.
Is it right over Meow?
Meow.
Right over Meow.
Keep it going.
Those dirty clothes.
What you got going on, Angsty?
I've got my C-Def C-Def 0 with UTA number 1, of course, with Raspberry Mint. My SX Mini has got UTA number 2, and this has it's actually Huck. It's not Huck Hazards. It's what the hell's the normal one? All I can think of is Huck Hazards now. It's Huck, yeah, but I've doctored a little bit because I'm going back and forth between that and the beta, and I've got this little mythic thing right now, and it has got a new little toy on top. This is a Velocity by we got it from Avid Vapor, but it's Dino and who's the other guy who made this? Dino and Cisco. Collaborative made this little thing. So we're going to talk about this in a little bit. I am currently dripping, as I usually do. I drip something that I'm pretty familiar with, and I'm trying out a new thing.
Like Samsung Cisco?
I'm not in the kitchen.
Like that one. Yeah, I got Big Blue by Labret. Labret. About you, Sean?
Melody Box, Uber 2, and Raspberry Mint.
One more for good measure.
Poor timing. Flask. Odin V2.
I don't have the soundboard.
With the fused Clapton coil, courtesy of Nick back there. Who gave you that?
I love you guys.
Dripping a Grim Cult Beta juice.
Oh.
That
Hey, what about those? What about the homeless people on your couch while they vaping?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a tug. Do I have to yell?
A little loudish.
I have a tugboat box mod, dual parallel, unregulated, with a tugboat atomizer and Majestic number 47.
Majestic as fuck.
It's green tea, white chocolate.
Doing a show. You want to be YouTube famous?
It's kind of delicious.
You want to be YouTube famous? Yeah, people will see you. There's hundreds of people watching right now. Come say what? Oh, okay. Keith, my towel guy, is shy. He doesn't want to come say hi. He says he looks terrible. He doesn't want to be on video.
Matt, what are you vaping?
I have a 0. Sorry, was that too loud? And
Is that too monotone?
What's in it? What's inside?
oh shit, I forgot. One of those new liquids I got for what's the HB something?
It's Grim Cult. He's vaping Grim Cult juice.
Wait, do you have your Uber tooth that's in the fuck zone on top?
I fixed it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So earlier today, Matt broke his Uber tooth. Yeah. If my mic was detachable, I would just hand it over to them. But yeah, earlier today, Matt broke his Uber toot. He dropped it. That'll piss off everybody who wants an Uber toot.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a lot better about myself.
It's fixed though, so it's okay. He fixed it.
You then.
Hey, Matthew, you haven't said what you're vaping. What are you vaping on? Oh, he went away.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
Hear me? I'm still testing this little box out with Bombay. And that's it right now, because half my shit's in boxes. Nice. So.
Well, that'll be okay until that thing runs out of juice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got out here, so.
Oh, I meant power juice.
Oh yeah.
Not power juice, like the red.
Power juice?
Yeah.
Power juice, power juice, power juice.
I meant
Power
Maz.
juices.
When it runs out of Maz.
Yeah.
So this is we talked last week about having less guests.
And then we doubled the guests.
Matt's now feeling uncomfortable about his legs.
He's got pretty big, waxy legs.
Do you want to look? Do you want to look?
Oh,
Like,
someone said he had ugly knees.
you want to get Matt a wheelchair now?
Oh my god.
So we talked last week a little bit about having less guests, or looking
guests.
for guests that are interesting and just kind of free-forming a little bit more and more hostfuls and changing things around. This is really the first of that, since these are homeless people and not actual guests.
Yeah.
Right. Well, right. So before you guys started reviewing, I know you've discussed you didn't know that you had shit hands. So just now, Matt got to learn that he has shit knees.
Shit knees. Yeah.
And Grimm's constantly hiding a boner.
Yeah. Constantly.
It's like 6th grade all over again.
Wow.
Oh boy.
We do, however, have a lot of really kind of cool stuff to talk about tonight.
We do.
Yep.
I was invited into the DNA-200 beta, and I suggested that the DNA-200 be sent to these 3 guys as well, and all of them got one, and I didn't.
This section of the broadcast has been muted by Evolve.
No, we're clear. So we got cleared to talk about a lot of stuff. I did get to play with Phil's device a little bit.
What? Keep it going.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Get a feel.
This is gonna be the whole night, people.
All night.
This is slumber party with Plumes tonight. I can see it right now.
So we're gonna talk a little bit and give you guys some information about the DNA-200, anything that you might not have heard, and we're gonna talk a little bit about VCC in Pittsburgh, which Fu was at, I was at, and these 2 guys were at. So we'll have some stories to talk about and some stuff to share. We have some other stuff prior to that. So do you guys want to start there and then kind of come into the fun stuff and make everybody wait?
Do it.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. What about you, Fu? Do you have anything to talk about? I know you have a juice, I think, you want to talk about.
Yes. So, I ran into someone I actually had not seen in a while while I was at VCC Pittsburgh at the Android booth. Right on the other side of us was Opus Elixirs in his shop, Faith HQ in New Jersey. He's got his own juice company, Opus Elixirs, and yeah, so he's got a new line out, and I tried one. It's called McFly. And it's like a serial killer like vape. At this point, probably to most people, it's a tired flavor profile, but I haven't vaped a cereal in a while, so this was kind of nice to pick up and vape after a while. I don't think I burnt myself out like most people. So, yeah. So it was nice to kind of just go back and explore new cereal flavors. It's pretty good. It's tangy. I've got that in the Aeolus currently.
You also, I think, need to refresh because you're not coming up on speed.
Aw.
I didn't need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that showed me as he spoke. Showed Matt reaching for a beverage.
Mm-hmm.
Having a oh, he's now uncovered his knees again. Everyone.
Oh.
Wear them.
Got it.
No, try again, Fu. One more time. One more time. One more time.
One more time. Keep it going.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Oh, you fool. He ain't got what he needs. He needs better internet. Keep it going.
You know what's funny is my internet just got upgraded.
We're good, I think.
Yeah, my internet just got upgraded.
No, this has just been messy hangouts for a while.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's been like a month.
This shit's on Google, yo.
Yeah.
Yo.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else, Fu? I don't want to cut you off.
I got to vape on a flute dagger. It fits better.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
an
Power
SX
Ranger
chip.
flute dagger.
Yeah. I got to vape
Green Ranger's dagger turned into a mod.
Oh, yeah.
That thing was pretty sweet.
Okay.
I don't remember who made it, so I'm like,
It was Silver Steam.
I think it was Silversteam's sweatshop.
Right. Yes.
The widescreen one.
Yes.
Our Plush, Manush, and Bagush. They all made the mod with 2 hours before they had to leave.
Trying to fly in that.
Did they really finish it, or did they start to finish 2 hours before they left?
Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah, you're in Superman pose right now, Nasty.
Oh shit. I don't know. Sorry, Phil. I'm like, what's going on?
Funny story from Pittsburgh, actually. I didn't rebuild my Goliath before I left, so I rebuilt it on the first day of the convention during B2B, but it's B2B, so...
Quit laughing, Sean! Freaking idiot!
I've managed to keep it straight.
I lost it.
I'm sorry, Foo.
The Brown delegation is splitting.
I'm gonna see myself out.
Seriously.
Hey! Ho! Hey!
So you were rebuilding your Goliath at what? Oh God!
I did 12 reps on one side, 11 on the other.
So that didn't work out so well.
What's going on? We have a show! Keep it together, people!
My phone started ringing. I couldn't take it stop. And then it started ringing my computer because that's what Macs do.
I'll lock my door, make sure nobody breaks in.
I don't know. What you got going on, MC?
All right.
Everything.
So one thing I didn't mention, I forgot to mention, I've got my Jolit controller, and I've got this on top. So was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Ahmed and Raul both had their Addy Tooney torched ass K-Funds that have been modded to hell with a giant ass air holes on both sides, goes right on through. Addy Tooney sent me one as well, and Sean as well, and he sent me the after my joke last week, he sent me the Samuel L. Jackson purple fly ass one, and it works great. I've got what have I got in here? I've got Status Underground's Silk in this right now. It's actually pretty solid juice. It's like a raspberry cake with a little bit of like white chocolate on it. It's pretty tasty actually. I've been enjoying it. So that's there. That's super cool. He really did go to town on the juice wells and the airflow, and it's about probably double the normal K-Fun draw. Not quite as much. Yeah, not quite as much as a wide open toot. So it's probably like 2 to 2.5 millimeter airflow. It's really cool. So thank you very much to him for sending that on. Stop messaging me. Go away.
He does really good.
What?
He does really good. His stuff. I mean, it came really. It's a really good looking Addy. Like it's very.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy it. The draw's a little loose
For a mouth along.
but we kind of. I mean, I figured that was going to be the case. That was my first ever Clapton coil that I vaped off of.
That was not a Clapton coil. It's a 3-strand twist.
Is it? Well, okay. That was the
Show
first
them
ever.
what she knows.
That was the first ever not really boring coil that I've ever vaped.
I will agree that I have played a little bit with twisting wires together, but very little, and not in a long time. So it was nice to get something a little bit different. I feel like it does work really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a 3-strand, it was like 30, 28, and 26 or something twisted together. I forget.
It vapes good.
It vapes very well. I am going to talk a little bit about the Vector. So the Vector RDA, which I should probably zoom up so you guys can see it a little better. Zoom! So, here's the Vector. It's an interesting dripper. It's got a fixed mouthpiece on top. The reason it's fixed is because you use it to adjust your airflow. So it's top airflow, kind of like an Aeolus or several other ones that are out these days, like the Orion V2 by Beyond Vape. What's the Kennedy kind of does something similar. Oh, the REM Addy does something very similar to this. In fact, the REM Addy looks a lot like this. It just doesn't have holes. It's just got a big slot that you still do the same thing. You still rotate around. You can't use your own drip tip in it. And this is the thing that kills me. So top pops right off, and you can drip down in there, which is nice. But if you can see in here, look at that. It's like a screen door in there. Little screen. So ostensibly, this is for spit pack protection. What its true function is, however, is making your vape suck ass. That's this screen. I mean, I understand in theory what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to catch all the little drops before it goes up your drip tip and into your mouth and burn you and whatever. However, what it does is, as you vape through it, it collects a lot of condensation. If you do have a little micro popping or whatever, and that hits that screen, it's so fine, it just totally wrecks all of the airflows. I basically hated this, but I'm very grateful for somebody in this hangout for sitting along. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say who, but it was Matt. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. I am, however, going to vape it forward and send this to one of our friends that's a reviewer for him to review. It's very well made. It's impeccably well made. Very well machined. There's no marks, anything on it. It's got some Japanese on the bottom. It's made in Japan. Comes in a really neat little tin with some extras and a little friggin' thing. But I hate vaping on it. But
Anxie, does the screen fill up with condensation?
Yes, and spitting you do get. Okay. That may or may not have been caught by the sidewall of the drip tip or whatever, right? I will say its saving grace is if you vape differently than I do, and by that I mean if you're vaping at like 20 watts and enjoy that, this one probably be totally fine. I typically don't. Even when I'm vaping on nickel, I'm between 30 and 40-ish, and it's at that power. It's just there's too much action going on in there, and it just catches that. Well, plus you're having to pull harder, right, to keep everything nice and cool. So I think that helps pull up those little pops that normally wouldn't necessarily make it up, and you have to pull at it to work through the screen anyway. Also, and you're probably one to know, or y'all probably know this, but I like to pull the top off and drip, and I've been trying to be a little more reformed and open-minded about this thing, right? So I've several times I drip down the drip tip, which you can't do because there's a freaking screen there, and then it gets all clogged up again. So you have to take this thing out and get a vape rag, put it in here and blow it out, and then freaking put it back in here. Anyway, it's a nice Addy. It's small. Its flavor is really good when it's not all clogged up.
Can you take the screen out?
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so it actually in the spares. There's a spare screen. So clearly you have to be able to take this out. I haven't figured out how to without just taking a screwdriver to it and just jamming the shit out of it. I'm not sure if you can do that without wrecking it. Yeah. I assume you can, but if I did that, and the only reason I didn't do that was I knew I was going to send it on to somebody else, and I didn't want to ruin it. But like I said, I tried the different wattages and stuff, and it does work better at lower wattages. It is small, tight little chamber. The flavor is really good, even when it's wide open, because when it's wide open, you're still having to pull through that, possibly juicy screen. So even if it's wide open, it looks like there's tons of air. There's not going to be because it's going to have some juice in it. But overall, tastes good if you vape really low and you don't mind occasionally having to clean out a screen or poke it out, right? Get the thing out of there. Man. So I don't want to hack on it too much, but it is what it is. It's not for me. It's not my particular bag. That is the Vector.
I am sorry, but this Ripper is not for me.
It's not for me. No thank yous. However, I did also get this week an Addy that I'm actually kind of excited about. So as I mentioned when we first came up here, this is the Velocity, not the Vector, but the Velocity. So Cisco and Dino, those are the two guys that kind of collaborated and came up with the Marquis, which I did not try, but I've heard is quite tasty. This guy is kind of more like the way I like to vape when I crank it all the way down. So I was going to show you real quick some of the highlights of this thing. So this guy has got a removable chuff-style drip top, and that comes out unthreads. There's a 510 adapter, so you can use your own drip tips if you like. One of the things I really like about this is how finely adjustable the airflows are. So if you open it way up, and of course I just unscrewed it off my mod. So if you open it way up, you can see there's a giant slot there.
It's a face.
Wait, I didn't zoom up again, and I've got it up way close.
Ham and egg steak get together.
I'm sorry. So, giant slot. I said slot, not slot. Slot. Really, really large amount of airflow. But the neat thing is, if you get this just right, those 6 2mm holes open up as well, all the way around, and to provide some indirect airflow. This thing, I believe, Nick, what was the approved term? This thing can chuck some tits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck tits.
It can chuck some tits. It certainly can. I personally, instead of like this, I actually like it way on down, more like that. And then with the indirect pretty much closed, if maybe I believe it was red C word hair open on the indirect guys. But so that's
C word.
so hey, anyway, I'm not English. I can't get away with saying that kind of thing.
So I got to try one too, and I vaped it much the way you just described, pretty much almost all the way closed.
Right.
You don't say.
It was really good.
It was very good. The thing that's funny about it is, now I got to do this. I don't know why I took this thing off. So one of the 2 things that I don't like about this is trying to thread this guy. There he goes. All right, so that guy gets back in there. So the threading on this thing, it's got to break in. I believe Matt's review said the same thing, and I agree. You do have to work at it. I was in a hangout when I got it on Saturday night or Friday night, and I had to I screwed with it for like 5 minutes before I actually got it to thread in. But okay, so enough of that negative part. I want to show the other thing that I love about this thing, and that is the deck. So if you pull this guy off, you can see this deck. It is a 2-post, kind of like the Petrie, 2-post 4-hole. So every single leg has got a nice fatty hole in it. But that's not even the cool part. The cool part is how they do. So each side has got 2 grub screws that come in. And the neat thing about it is when they come in, and I'll use my hand here to show. So if the build deck is over here and this is your post and your hole is right here, as you're screwing in your grub screw, it just pins the wire against the post. It doesn't go past it, which would shear your wire, which every other dripper basically does. It just pins it straight on. So you can build this thing with basically anything and it won't shear your wires, and it's freaking brilliant. I love that. It makes me very happy. The first build I put in here was something ridiculous. So you've obviously got a long, ways between these 2 posts. So I was like, okay, I'll build something kind of silly. So I built a 4mm diameter, 26 gauge tempered nickel, 16 wrap. It was an enormous coil. It looked like a freaking caterpillar. I mean, it was just huge, and it worked really pretty well. But then I pulled it out. This is a 16 gauge 3mm. Sorry, not 16 gauge, 16 wrap, 3mm, 28 gauge of tempered nickel. And it works pretty well. It works awfully well. I've been mostly testing on the DNA-200, which we'll talk about later. This is a really nice driving addy. I really, really dig it. The only thing that's a little funky is the stuff we've already talked about. There's also a little notch that you have to line up, and you can see this on a more real review, like Matt's review. But you got to line up the little notch a little bit. But once that guy is seated down, the nice thing about that is you can then adjust your airflow without messing with this at all. You can just sit there and just screw, and it doesn't even matter. I really like this. I do like it cranked down a lot. If you open it up, this thing really will go bananas on the vapor. It's awesome. I really like it. I'm not sure I use it appropriately because I know there's a much more cloud chasey such sorts of people out there that would probably use it more appropriately. But I like it when it's cranked down. The other thing I forgot that is kind of cool is how finely adjustable that airflow is. So if you want it just a little bit more, the machine threads on this top guy are very fine. So you can just, fractions of a millimeter at a time, open it up or close it up. I think that's really cool.
I would probably say, in all honesty, that's probably the most versatile addy on the market right now, as far as the dripper goes.
That might be true.
I said my review.
Having used one and having had it open, closed, seeing the amount of versatility that you have to get that tight draw if you like that, or the open draw if that's what you want. It's incredibly versatile, probably the most versatile dripper out. It caters to both markets really well, I think.
And it takes that crown, I think, from the Derringer, because the Derringer works a lot like that, right? It can do either really well, because normally things are one or the other, right? Something does a really good mouth to lung or a really good lung inhale, and there's often you do one and not the other very well.
Well,
This thing
that was something that the Taiji had, that the first Taiji had, that I thought was awesome, was the posts had 2 grub screws, one below the hole, and you could raise that up to wherever you wanted, so the wire would be pinched between them. Now I know somebody that's working on an Addy that looks promising, that is kind of like that. Obviously not from the side, just normal. But I'm surprised, especially now with nickel, that there's not a lot more people coming out with them, because it's so fragile. I mean,
30 gauge
don't have
nickel
to
is
go
very
very
soft.
far.
Very soft. I did get some requests from Instagram. I just remembered this, and I want to do this before I forget. Comparing the size of this to some other things on the market. So this is a Derringer, and I'm gonna make sure I'm in focus here.
Banana for scale.
Yeah, banana for scale. So this is our guy. This is a Derringer. It's got a chuff top on it, but it's almost exactly the same height as a regular Derringer. It is obviously much shorter. And then the other one I was going to compare was the Orion V2, which is almost exactly the same height. I thought this was going to be really big, and it's not too bad. So the Orion V2 is basically...
Man, I told you it was about the same size as it.
Yeah, you're right. And then the other one is the Aeolus. So the Aeolus is just probably 4 millimeters shorter, maybe, not including the drip tips. So there's that. Maybe, I don't know, Silo Beast, shorty mode. Boom. Way bigger. What else do I have handy? Uber tubes. That's probably not.
I would say that's probably like a medium-sized dripper.
Yeah, it's roughly medium size. I think that's probably a fair estimation. I thought it was going to be huge because it does look big, and it's really not. It's really not. I think that somebody did ask in chat how I broke in the threads. I'm still working on it, but I think the idea, and Matt said this in his review, is just screw it up, in and out a couple times. I think Todd said the same thing. Mine, the 510 adapter wasn't a big deal, and the large chuff style top was much more of a pain. I think Matt was the other way around.
Now, remember, everybody, make sure to tune in next week when we talk shit about Matt because he's not here.
Right. Well, he just have the reason I referenced him is because he did a review, and he and I talked about it because I was trying to figure out a dripper that I wanted, and his review was
about him now.
Also, yes.
He could poop on my floor.
Yeah, keep it going. I've got another thing that I kind of want to talk about, and I don't know if we should wait till the DNA-200. I don't think so. I think I'm going to talk about this now.
Yeah, go for it.
So I've been using nickel for a while, right? And I know Massey's used some, and Foo's just starting, I believe, right? Sean's not a big fan, and that's fine. But I've been really trying to like it because I love the idea of a new thing, right?
Yep.
I think, and I found out pretty quickly that I didn't like it in a tank. Whatever, I just didn't care for it. It didn't seem like it worked that great. I got the nickel taste a lot more often. I hypothesized that it was because of airflow, whatever. But like for big airflow stuff like a dripper, for stuff I just picked up the wrong Addy. For stuff like the Goliath, it's great with nickel because there's a lot of air going through it, whatever. But yeah. It weirded me out that I actually liked it in a dripper because it was obviously a lot lower power until this one, but the DNA-40 was a lot fewer watts than I normally dripped at. And I thought I just might like the nickel thing, right? But lately, and it's because of this, I've begun to kind of realize, it was right before I got this, because I started thinking through this going, well, how's temperature limiting going to work when you've got so many watts available? Right? I mean, if you're limiting, you're limiting, and it doesn't matter how many is on the front end. So I started thinking about it, and I think the reason I like nickel now is because I've actually retrained myself to like nickel. I found out that I actually do really like, when I was forced to only have 40 watts, and I figured out the build to make a nice warm vape at 40 watts in the right, with the right build and the right Addy. I found out I really liked it, and I think I don't like nickel. I think I just like dripping at 40 watts now. I think that's the short version.
That's exactly how I've seen it.
More power definitely helps it.
Oh, I just realized I was clicked on myself because I was making sure I was in focus. I didn't see your face come up. I see it. I saw it on the thumbnail.
No,
Nast was replaced with some sexy guy.
okay.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Keep it going.
Got a pretty mouth.
So you've seen the same thing, Fu, because I know you've to me surprisingly adapted to the DNA life.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
the nickel life.
Yeah.
no, I haven't even done nickel. Like, I found, like, I got the SX Mini, and I kind of, wanted to see if I could, tank it more.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much like, Addy I've used most in the last week is the Goliath. And I put it like on the SX Mini, I could run it at 35 watts on soft or 30 watts on standard.
Yeah.
With like a 0.7, 0.8 build dual coil. Solid vape. The only problem is that I've been on 3 milligram Washington. I've just been
Blazing it,
Yeah.
burning through that shit.
so to speak.
I got my bottle last week, and I didn't see that.
Oh, damn.
Right.
I mean, there's like another 10 mils in my uniform bottle, 10, 15 mils. But yeah, I've destroyed it.
But I mean, coming from a guy that historically, you rocked that Raptor, and you, unlike myself, when I had one, you pushed it a lot more.
Oh no, the Raptor actually I mostly used an Odin with like a 0.6, and I run it like at 40 watts.
Is that right?
That was like it was a nice like not over powerful like portable dripping setup. I had an Odin on there. It was great. But yeah, I mean, when I want the high watt vape, then I just feel like Mex is where it's at. I don't like high watt regulated vaping.
Yeah.
Ramp ups are weird. You can get dry hits and such.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just something that I've noticed about myself lately that really has changed how I drip, and I'm happy with it. I'm getting a lot of tastiness out of it, and I don't need to be blowing my head off, I guess.
And a lot of it's a juice thing. It's a topic we've touched on so many times, but different. I like juices at certain powers, and I'll figure out a way to enjoy them at that power.
I'm dripping at 37 watts right now, enjoying it.
What?
That's amazing to me.
It's a little rough with 6 Nick, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure.
But it's not bad. This juice is better like that, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's probably all I got for my stuff. We'll save the other thing that I got for.
A lot of that's probably a really good segue into a topic, and we can pick up some of this other stuff later. But we may as well kind of move into that into the DNA-200 topic. But there's something really important to cover prior to discussing the DNA-200, and that is that this device, this board, and the software is all still currently in beta testing.
Yes.
Nothing that we have will be showing, or the things that we will be saying may or they may not be in the final product. And I think that's really important to cover before we talk pros, cons, what we like, what we dislike, and stuff like that, because it could very well change.
Totally.
And it probably will, right?
Yeah, a lot of it probably will.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very active beta test, and there's a lot of people who are giving input and looking for bugs and providing input to kind of change this. Because, as Phil said, trying to get everything lined up and make sure that I'm good to say everything that I'm saying, this is the first DNA that's software upgradable.
Oh.
It's also a 200-watt device. Yeah, drop the bass. So it's a 200-watt DNA. There's a mod associated with it from Evolve, and I don't know how many of those are going to be made. Oh, look, it's Grim Green.
I'm gonna try to put Grim Green on your face.
It's like the oldest picture of Grim Green.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Mass is going to put Grim Green on my face.
Did it show up?
No.
It might not show up.
Nope, no dice.
No, doing it. Oh, well.
So it's...
Hang on.
Software upgradable.
Yep.
200 watt. There's a device attached to it, and there's going to be several companies that are going to be announcing their own devices. Opus.
Wait, you're almost there, Sean.
Almost.
Move over to the left. Oh, yeah.
Look, I'm green. Uppy closely.
Wait, you need to click on Masty so he stays up, because when you talk...
I already did. I already clicked on Master. We're good. It's time for Uppy closely. Oh, God.
That's
I'm
old.
gonna eat him.
Yeah, that is really old.
Yeah, he was really skinny then.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, burn. Got him.
I know. Go to the gym now, so you guys stop making fun of me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, people are asking about that pillow.
You know, Nick, when I made a fat joke at you in your roast, it was so much more polite.
Yeah, like every 2 minutes, there's a pillow. Has anyone covered the pillow on Graham's lap yet?
Somebody asked if it was to hide Matt giving him a hand job. That's possible.
I mean, you got everything that's going on
Oh, man.
But
in a hand job.
so yeah, 200 watt,
Even
its
now.
own device, an Opus device, a Vapor Shark device, which we'll share some photos of that in a little bit.
Yep.
Upgradable software. I think Cisco posted a picture of like custom boot screens.
Yep.
So custom boot screens, a whole lot of information came really, really fast throughout this weekend.
Fast and somewhat unplanned.
And also,
I'm wagering, yeah, somewhat unplanned. So yeah, a lot of really interesting info and a lot of really interesting developments in a 200 watt chip that Evolve said they would never ever make.
Yeah, and this thing was sitting at my fucking house all weekend. And I
Alright,
just
so
got to get to it today.
We'll just get this out of the way. No, the screen hasn't fucked up.
Yes, right. I've been running up the nickel.
I've got like 18 people on Facebook that are like, "Hey, has the screen messed up yet? Have you had any issues with the screen?" No issues whatsoever.
Nope. And if you didn't know, the only time you ever get that in the 40, some of the 40s was when you're running nickel. So
Yep.
I've run this with nothing but nickel so far, and it's been fine.
Meta Sausage said hashtag wax job.
Nice. These were also all received very recently by everybody, so this is more first look than in depth.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about pros and
on
cons
this for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't feel like even I've had enough time to really play with it too much, but
Right.
vaped enough to get some initial impressions, that's for sure.
So do you guys want to roll in and talk a little bit about your experiences, and if I think any of you are going too far, I'll just mute you.
That's
I'll go first, since I probably have the least to say.
sure.
Alright, so I literally just took my Aeolus, which I had built on the Titan. It's a 5-rep dual parallel 26 gauge, 0.17. And fire's on here. Well, it's right now saying 0.19. This thing kicks. It's a regulated high wattage vape. I have it set at 80 watts, and the ramp up is stupid. Yes. And Chuck's tits. But that's the thing. I got probably turned down a bit because I like the chain vape. And this vape can get very hot very quickly.
Yes.
So this thing definitely delivers. Packs a punch.
Arguably packs too much of a punch, which is one of the first things I was going to talk about.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's a different, 70 watts here versus running this build on a Mac on a 4.2.
Yeah.
It's firing 3.7 volts.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Yeah.
The ramp up is stupid.
The ramp up is mega stupid.
That I guess I also haven't vaped this high of regulated in quite a while, consistently.
Funny story, because we're going to talk about VCCPA in a little bit.
Mm.
But a guy came up to Phil, and Phil was telling me this story with a Snow Wolf 200 watt. He's like, yeah, man, I'm vaping 200 watts, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. It's 200 watts, on and on and on. And Phil's like, dude, let me see your atomizer. So he takes his atomizer off the Snow Wolf, puts it on the DNA-200, and turns it up to 200 and hands it to the guy.
Yeah.
The guy hits it, and the guy starts choking. And I mean, we've covered before that very rarely are you getting what it says you're getting with a lot of these devices, but I think it's an interesting point to to mention that, you know, this may be the first time a lot of people actually get close to that 200 watt mark realistically.
Right.
Even if they think they've been there before. And it is stupid hot.
It's the same as the mech guys, right? When they're getting all ballsy and braggy that they're, oh, I got a 100-watt mech build. It's, okay, you're probably actually firing that thing at maybe 80, maybe. Thank you, voltage drop.
And it's not. I played with a Snow Wolf, and it's nice, but it's probably not an accurate 200 watts.
Right.
Representation. So worth mentioning.
Yeah, pulses.
Oh yeah.
Above what?
Above 150.
Above 150 watts, it pulses.
There you go. Above 150 watts, it pulses. I mean, they're all pulse width modulation, as far as I know. Almost every regulated board is.
This one doesn't feel like pulse width modulation. It's like.
Oh, so
like
it feels
it's not like a rattlesnake. It's like another thing that's not like a rattlesnake.
There you go.
It's like a sprinkler. Like.
That's what happens at 200 watts.
Hold on, do that again for the camera here. Let me zoom up.
Ready?
Yep.
That's 200 watts.
Christ.
Yeah, it's no joke.
And I assume that was wet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a wet coil at 200 watts in what, 2 seconds?
That's what I'm saying. The first rip I took, I put it at 90 watts, and it was like I got it was a little dry.
There it is, just wet. And I mean,
Most of those Chinese mods.
200 watt.
Yeah, wet.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
So you're saying the DNA-200 is a more powerful 200 watts or a more accurate 200 watts?
A more accurate 200 watts.
Both.
No.
In a sense.
It's an accurate 200 watts.
Yeah, but inherently, because it's accurate, it's more powerful.
No,
The jellyfish said that it was. People always said the jellyfish was a more powerful 15 watts.
Don't get Matt started on the jellyfish.
15 watts. That means it wasn't actually 15.
Thanks, did you say jellyfish?
Yeah,
well, this shit because they actually weren't accurate when tested.
Yes.
But the Sigelli like 100 watts or under that.
Yes.
That gets this shit hot quick.
So, Masty, I put a link in the side chat when you get a chance if you grab that image. So to that point, when I was messing with this last week and this weekend, I did run my I did run it up, right? So I was like, okay, well, I've got this thing, might as well do it. I had my giant ass, 4mm coils and had them soaked with liquid just to make sure as much as possible. I put it on this thing and fired it at 200 watts, and I was able to do it like twice, and because it was probably doing what Massey was doing. But so I did it like twice at 200 watts, and then I vaped it for maybe 5 minutes at 100 watts, and then I moved it back down to where I normally am at, between 40 and 50, and vape that for the rest of like the last 36 hours, right? So today, I actually took the top cap off my dripper, and I looked. So I've been vaping the Lab Rat liquids in it, and that's a really non-sweetener, clean burning juice most of the time, right? So this picture is the picture of what my coils look like today. And the front one is a little out of focus, but Massey, if you want to zoom into those things, you can see what they kind of look like. They are coated in just carbon, and this is, like I said, this is a 36-hour-old coil, right? This isn't one that's been sitting around that I've been jacking with. This is one that I've been actively vaping like this last day and a half. So I think why this does this is because, and I'm not going to be able to show you because this is warm. It's most exaggerated when it's not. So I've currently got this thing set to 42 watts, and when I fire it, in fact, it just did it. When I fire it and it's relatively cool, it spikes up. That time it just spiked up to 112 watts, and then immediately comes back down. And it does that to warm everything up, right? Warm it up across all your taste bud.
I think that's got to do with the preheat too.
Yes, it's totally the preheat, right? It warms it up to get it to the right temperature and go, right? And that's fine, but I think what it's doing is it's just kind of hot, just in general, and because there's no reason for that to happen, because I run my drippers for weeks without really dry burning sometimes, and they never look like that. So I don't know that that's conclusive evidence, but I do think that this thing is a lot hotter than it probably needs to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. The
Now-
first rip I took, I set it to 90 watts, ripped it, and then like it was a little bit dry. Like
Yeah.
I ramped it too quick that my wicking couldn't keep up, and my wicking game's pretty strong. So.
Now, because I haven't gotten the mod in yet myself, but I do want to say that we talked a little bit about it being upgradable, right?
Yes.
So that very well, and I haven't played with the software yet, that very well may be a feature that you can change
Sure.
in the software of how it ramps up.
Maybe.
So
We should just say that that's maybe upgradable by firmware later.
Yeah.
Maybe
upgradable.
Right. So, and there's the other problem is something that Masty, you saw too. I have picked this up 2 or 3 times to go back to vaping it, and instead of hitting it at 50 watts or whatever it's set at, the whole drag is at something like 150 watts. Like it was like I just picked up and hit it, and it was just like boom, just fire. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And I dripped it again or whatever, and I took another drag, and it was back to normal. And it's totally normal. So I think, and again, this is beta product. This is not necessarily where it may be later, but there are some weird things that happen when you vape on this thing. That's all there is to it.
The other thing, I guess, that I forgot to mention was my heatsink 510 for the AOS didn't thread on this 510.
Right. The 510 of this mod, this enclosure is...
mainly because like the way I vape this AOS, it gets hot very quickly, so nothing really goes out. So.
Yeah, I don't think that's the 510 they're going to use. At least I hope not.
Right. I would assume not.
I think Evolve. I think a lot of this for Evolve, if I'm guessing here, and I am, is I think they wanted. They've said for a long time that they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it, but I honestly think they did it just to prove that they could. And guess what? They proved that they could.
Right.
Yeah, they did it pretty damn well.
Yeah. I'm going to actually get up for a second because, Matt, you've had this a bit longer than any of us. So do you want to chat about it a little bit and your experiences?
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to move and go sit on the couch.
Oh my god.
Matt, take my seat.
He's gonna drive. You better tell him how to unmute.
Matt should know how to unmute by now.
Well, I don't know if he's on a Mac. I guess he is.
He's on the Mac.
Oh, baby, you.
He doesn't know he's muted.
You muted, Matt.
You say he's made of wax.
I'm muted now?
Yep, you're good.
There you go.
All right. Sorry, you put me on the spot. I'm filling my tank up.
When you had to cover me?
He did.
Well, how do I... There, are you good?
Just knock my desk
Yeah,
down.
just knock.
This chair is
Where'd you get this
amazeballs.
thing? I know.
The chair is amazing.
My experiences with the DNA... Guys. DNA-200 is... Yeah, absolutely does not need to be 200 watts. I think that was overkill. And like Sean said, I think it was just like a, hey, look at what we can do thing. Everybody's always giving because everybody gives Evolve shit for being underpowered,
Yes.
and being behind. But
just busted out of their shirt and they're like, deal with it.
where the higher wattage shines is you can it gives you the ability to use 26 gauge.
Yeah.
And 26 gauge is obviously a lot easier to use. And so, like, you could do something crazy, like do a 3mm coil of 20 wraps on each side on the velocity,
Right.
and pump it up to like 90 to 100 watts, and it's a great vape in temp control mode.
Right. And it fires lower, too, which is nice. Lower resistance. I was running, that first one I was talking about was a .04.
So it helped.
Yeah.
What's going to be interesting, though, is how the modders are going to adapt to it. The fact that they're pretty much going to have to go to lipos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the question I believe this mod has. Can we say the mod of this mod, Sean?
I believe so.
Okay, so it's 950, and it's a 3-cell lipo, and I think the challenge is gonna be. Oh, hi, you want to be on the show too? Okay. Yeah, and just give me a minute, okay? I think the challenge is going to be, finding and getting 3-cell lipos that have a good milliamp hour to them in a small size. So I believe I don't have it here in front of me right now, but I have a 3-cell lipo that we used. If you remember the 450 watt box mod that we made that we hit on live on the air, that used a 3-cell lipo, and that was a 1300 mAh lipo, and it was considerable size. So I think it's going to be more. It's going to get a lot more popular trying to find those batteries, to try to compensate size. I mean, and the board is not small, right?
It's
So
a big board,
the board is not small to begin with. There's pictures of it out and about already. If you'll be able to look online and see. But the board takes up. This uses onboard buttons, and the board takes up quite a bit of the space here. So. I think that this is about as small as you're going to be able to get with a usable battery life, 950. So.
Yeah, I'm assuming the Vapor Shark, the RDNA that's coming out, it's going to have to be bigger than the original one, I would assume.
Right. Yeah, they showed a picture of it. I got an email today that had a picture of it.
Oh, is that right?
I think Sean was going to be talking. I don't know if that's one of his. That was one of his.
Yep, I sent him a picture.
What my guess would be is that, and I have absolutely no info to know this, but I would guess they're going to come out with another board this year. So for those that want to stick with like the modders that are going to want to stick with the 18650s, maybe we'll see like a DNA-60 or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that was one of the first things I talked to Masty about is asking about the input voltage, right? And you did some tests to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I did some tests, and I'm not sure if I want to talk about them though, Angsty.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I think that the 3-cell lipo is going to be the to-go battery to run this device.
Just for size reasons.
Right, for size. Are you limited at 950? Yeah. If you're running your mod at 20, 30, even 40 watts, 950 will last you some time, but it's not going to last you a day. It's not going to last you hours. All right. So especially if you're running it, even hotter. I mean, nickel at a hotter wattage is good. I mean, it performs really well. So you push it around 40, 50, 60, you're going to deplete that battery really quick. So.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the mod, Matt?
What do you mean by with the mod? I mean, I talked about the temp.
Liked it?
I've enjoyed temp control more than I ever have with any other mod because of being able to use the 26 gauge at that higher wattage. As far as the mod goes, I don't even know if that's like the finished design of the actual mod.
Right.
It's pretty simple and basic. It's a little bit taller than like the Vapor Shark. And, the battery life hasn't been great, obvious, but I've been using it at pretty high wattage.
The onboard button is nice though.
Stop it!
I don't mind the onboard fire button.
He stole my pillow.
I just kind of like it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
The mod needs this. Like, it's just an enclosure, right? But if this thing was finished a little bit of polish and an ano job, this thing would be pretty solid. I think not too bad. So one thing that I thought was kind of weird, and let me know if you have found the same thing, Matt. I have found if I do ramp it up to like 60 watts, for example, with a nickel build with the same temperature. I had this post a few days ago saying that I didn't really see the point of going much higher than 40-ish watts anyway, because if you're doing a temperature limiting thing anyway, it doesn't really matter how fast you get there because they all ramp up pretty quickly. If you stop at a temperature, you stop at a temperature. You can have it at 200 watts or not. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, at least how this is working, because when I turn this thing up to 60 watts, I can take a hit on it about the same length as I can at 40, and it's much hotter.
Yeah, dude, I have my 0.19 down to 50 watts right now.
Well, I'm sure Phil will be doing tests on those coils, but I think there's a point to it because of the, like I've been trying to learn more about like heat coefficient and what the proper heat coefficient is with different builds and stuff. But obviously your airflow still plays a big part. If you're going to be doing a big, powerful build like that, you got to have a lot of airflow. But yeah, it does seem to give you give you a little more than the DNA-40 would.
It does. It does, and I don't know if that's like the slope of how it's firing, and like you said, Phil obviously shows all that stuff.
I think it's the power behind it to do that preheat.
Right.
It has one of the things that, if you remember back to the video of them talking about the DNA-40, one of the things that that Evolve was saying was, it's all about that how fast and with how much amps you can hit that coil right before you go fire it. So I think with this, I see a lot of people saying, oh, well, why did Evolve go to 200? The wattage race was over and done with back a month ago or so. I don't necessarily think that the 200 number was necessarily for that. I think that they wanted to be able to have the 11.4 volts input and to be able to have, again, we know voltage goes up, amperage goes down, so you get a little bit of leeway there with the amperage, so you're not trying to run everything off a single 18650. But also they can preheat those coils quicker. I think it gives them a little more flexibility to do that. So, and again, this is all my opinions on this stuff. And we're just talking out loud on here, and my dog's getting stuck underneath my desk here. But
one thing I did. I heard about the mod is they're not going to make many of those. I think they were more. What I heard was they're making the mod to show the modders how to properly build a mod with this board. Like they're not going to make a ton of them, so they're not going to be readily available.
Yeah.
Right. So to your point, Matthew, before you go to the next one, because that's something that I think is important, and that's something I think is kind of cool. It's basically the headroom, is what you're saying, right?
Right.
So if you set this thing to 40 watts, and I set a DNA-40 to 40 watts, and put two nickel bills next to each other, this one ends up being quite a bit warmer, quite a bit faster, and an overall kind of a nicer vape because it can go up above 40 to get it where it needs to be.
Right. So. And I think too. Let's not get carried away with, okay, well, it's a warmer vape. Oh, you're just saying that because it can go 200 watts. Yeah, it's got that headroom, but I also think that it can deliver the power a little bit more efficiently, and I think that you set one to 40, you set the other one to 40, like you said. You have a lot more battery behind it. You have the amperage that can get to it. And I wouldn't necessarily say, if it's going to be hotter because the 40 watts at the temperature control is going to be the same, but,
Yeah, but how it gets there, it matters.
Right, correct.
How it gets there does matter. And so I was a little wrong, so I'll publicly say that I said it didn't matter so much the other day. It's not true. It matters a bit. Yep. So it looks like you can talk about that thing if you wanted to, Massey.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to mention was that I thought was pretty neat. And again, this is we are dealing with LiPo batteries. Part of my news was going to be I'm going to be showing some pictures of some people who have again left mods in the cars. But the cool thing is, when we received the devices, battery was probably about halfway down, and so I plugged it in USB, and I've always charged my LiPo batteries with a LiPo charger. And one thing that's neat about this is that it has an onboard balance board to balance each cell. So if you were to hook either a scope or hook a voltmeter to this LiPo or to the board itself, you would see that the board is making sure that each cell is at the 3.7, 3.8 volts while it's charging, and balance across all three cells. And I thought that was pretty neat to be able to have USB charging for a 3-cell LiPo. It's not unheard of. I mean, there's plenty of chargers that you can use for that. But that was pretty cool. I think that takes away a little bit off the user. You know, having to, okay, well now I have to get a LiPo charger to charge my LiPos. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, in a week, 2-3 weeks, when new mods start coming out with this board, that there isn't going to be a mod that has a LiPo battery that you have to unplug and charge on a LiPo charger. You're going to say, well, Mass, what's the difference? Well, the difference is with this, you'll be charging at 0.5 to an amp. Obviously, USB does have amperage limits. On a LiPo charger, you can go a lot higher than that as long as the cells can take that. So you could be a lot quicker with that. So I could see how some mods it'll be pretty neat to have a battery that you can just take out and you either swap or charge real quick. So.
Right.
So there's a lot of people in chat talking about price.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how much all this stuff's going to cost. And to be honest, we don't have any idea. The Opus, however, I'm gonna send Masty a picture right now to share, which is gonna be the Opus 200. I think came in around $225, or somewhere in that general range, around the 200 to 300 mark. The Vapor Jerk, I expect, will be probably pretty close.
Chris Scott says that he has heard from an Evolve dealer that the board itself is going to be $79.95, but we don't know.
Yeah, that's chat. Unsure.
Yeah.
That seems low to me.
Yeah.
So that right there is the well. I mean, given the cost of this Opus, like, it's not that bad. Like, it's reasonable because the Opus isn't custom enclosure and all that stuff. So
let's talk about that custom enclosure for a minute. How about those asymmetrical screws on the front of there?
Right.
Yeah, well, you know what that's from. That's because that's exactly where they're placed on the board.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I get it, but they need to have a fake one or something there, so it's not.
Yeah.
Hey, drop your overlay or something, Masty.
yeah,
Oh,
they can't
sorry.
see it.
Hang on, let me.
So they can see that I'm not making shit up.
So sorry.
There it is. That's just weird to me. Put a fake one there or something.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But I mean, that's not a terrible price for a new piece. I mean, traditionally DNAs have come out in that price range or higher. So, you know, we're not looking at terribly high price for new technology.
But I mean, B Minor basically said the same thing, where he's saying that the 350J is about $80, and that's true. But this has also got some more stuff in it that one doesn't, right? If for no other reason, the balance charger, right?
Well, it has the balance charger in it. It has, you know, and when we talk about the SX350J, and I'm a big fan of the SX350J and the power modes of the SX350J and all that. I haven't had a chance to use this yet, but this has, from what I understand, far more customizable options than the SX does. The SX has the ability to download and install firmware updates. Right.
Fraser says, since when does Nick have to get up and leave the room to pee?
Got him.
Keep it going. This one, however, has the ability to plug it in and change your boot screen and do a whole bunch of other different stuff outside of just firmware updates.
Right.
Which I think is kind of a nifty feature set.
Well, and Masty knows better than I do, but didn't the early versions of the EHE software let you do a little bit of that, right? Customize the boot screen.
You had to hack it, I think, to do that, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't like standard software.
Yeah, someone had let me get my screen off of that. Someone had actually made. I mean, he wasn't happy about, you know, people going in and changing the boot, but yeah, someone had made a piece of software that allowed you to upload your own firmware, you know, SXI version and change some of that stuff. So.
Right.
So somebody asked if we care about having a screen on the mod. You don't really need a screen after you vape your all-day vape all day, blah, 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 and does it affect cost? I think part of the reason that pretty much everything coming out now has a screen is because they're in high demand. I mean, I would much prefer a screen.
Absolutely.
If for no other reason than fine-tuning and having a battery meter.
Yes.
Having a battery meter is a big deal for me. It lets me know if I need to change my batteries before I go out. So I would rather have a screen.
Even if it's not a complicated screen, you need something for me to be able to do it. I mean, so actually, speaking of which, I was talking to Marquis Brown last night, and And he was talking about, where was that? Where was that? Oh, the guy, the GG, Emio, right? Because he's got his stuff coming out, the temperature control stuff that he's been working on for a while. But to the chat's point, that one has no screen, right? It's got like one LED that like count flashes and friggin' do a bunch of trigger dances on the buttons and that kind of thing. To me, it's 2015. I don't want to have to count the number of flashes or something. This isn't 1980, and I'm reading out some giant computer with a punch card. I want a little display. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it needs to be there, in my opinion.
But I think the thing is going to be though that wasn't that more geared towards a mech mod style, and not necessarily a box mod style.
Totally.
Device.
Absolutely. No,
I mean, I'm not saying you can't. I mean, obviously, we know we've seen plenty of them with screens on them, but
Cyborg elevator.
I'm wondering if it's a size
thing
and cost. I mean, it could be cost too.
And I think a lot of it too is if the screens, at least when you talk about a mech mod, you like that because it's clean.
Right.
If the screen's not unattractive, then I'd much rather have the screen.
All day long. Yep.
Yeah. Personal opinion, anyway.
Yeah, that's a style thing. Whatever. Right?
Have we covered most of what we want to talk about on that piece specifically? I mean, I want to share. I sent Mast over some pictures.
Yep. Let me know when you're ready.
So let's share those. Do we have anything else specifically right there first?
I don't think so. I think overall, I'm still excited about Nickel. I think this is an interesting mod. I will never use 200 watts, but the headroom is nice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be updating as software updates and as we get, close to an actual full release. I'm sure we'll follow up and actually talk about, final thoughts on full release.
Yep.
But it's exciting all the same. I'm excited about it, to be honest. So go ahead and throw up the RDNA picture first, since we were talking about the 200, and this is the that's going to be the Vapor Shark DNA-200. So it's just a little tiny bit bigger than the RDNA from the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
So size-wise, it looks a lot like the RDNA. It actually looks a lot like the regular DNA.
Yeah.
And the RDNA had a very large child. It's similar screw placement to the one, no removable battery cover and all that, but that's going to be the Vapor Shark DNA-200. And we talked about Vapor Shark lowering their prices and stuff the other week too, and then doing the flask and all this other stuff, and kind of coming in at all price points. What we didn't talk about is Hannah coming out with a $110 mod.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really interesting is Vapor Shark is sitting with all these price points, and this is a Vapor Shark ad that they're now selling the Hannah 1 as well.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
So this is a Vapor Shark ad, so not only do they cover all price points internally, they're also carrying the Hannah 1.
That's interesting.
Plus the new flask one, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's interesting, and what I want to say that's kind of interesting about the Hannah 1 is it's $110.
Yeah.
But outside of that, what's interesting is you'll notice that it looks like the back comes off, and it looks like there's two different sizes. $110, and you get two battery options: one single 18650, one dual 18650.
So I bagged on this until I saw it.
Yeah.
And I started looking at it, and I saw that sort of customization that you can do, and I think that's kind of cool.
I used one, and I will tell you that it feels a little bit cheap.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, what's it feel like, down the middle where that connection happens?
It feels like plastic, and it feels a little cheap.
Yeah.
But that's a really nice bit of customization in the $110 price range.
Yeah.
For a DNA-40.
It doesn't feel any cheaper than like an IPV or anything like that. Like it's just a little bit cheap. It's not like, oh my God.
With Hannah, you always expect a piece of billet, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
But
that's plastic.
Right. So
that's what I mean. That's what plastic feel.
Probably feels a little cheap compared to what Hannah normally is, which is beefy and sturdy.
So Hannah's doing that. You can get it at Vapor Shark too, apparently, and it's $109, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot of stuff coming DNA-wise in really good price points.
I look very forward to the future.
Yeah, I think we're moving from a point where DNA mods were incredibly difficult to get
And expensive.
incredibly expensive, to a point where now you can get the last generation of chip for $45.
Yeah. I
And
remember.
go ahead, Phil.
I was just saying, like when I first saw like these, higher tech regulated mods, the only place that I knew of on the internet was phased box mods. I don't know if they're still around, but
I
they were the
remember
only
Phased.
they were the only
They're
DNA
around.
mods I knew of. I didn't know about Vapor Shark then or anything. But yeah, and they were like their cheapest mod was like $140, $150.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
But we're
Well,
moving
I
into.
think it's a cycle, right?
Right.
I think companies have fallen into somewhat of a, people are going to say it's a catch-up game, or keep up with the next company over. But you have people who right now this board is coming out, and then there's other companies that have things that are you know just being put together, and by the time that comes out, the other so you're going to have that constant, which
Yeah.
is good. I mean, you want that innovation, you want that that drive to make the products that we're using better, whether it's making them smaller, more efficient, safer.
Hmm.
I think that's good. All of this is good, and I really hate that. One of the first things that I saw was, Yeehee Killer and Snow Wolf Killer and all this other stuff, and it's, I sometimes I wonder, man. There's these people that just sit there and wait for a new product to come out, just so they can stir the shit up and start shit up in the vaping community, right? Because now it's going to be, oh, well, you're using that mod. Oh, well, you must like paying this much for it. Or you're using this mod. And obviously that's always gone on, but it just gets, the fanboys come out, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Hmm.
And I'm the type with, look, man, you got the device. Who cares what you paid for it? That's your deal. You
If you
use
dig
it.
it, use it, right?
Who cares what board you're using? And really, don't, especially for the new users, don't get caught up on all that. Go to your local stores, support your local stores, look and see what they have, use it, and be
Still
happy with
do
the
your
mod.
research online.
Yeah, and do your research online.
Be proactive.
Yeah, and because you don't want to get that buyer's remorse. You just spend
No.
whatever it is,
We
$100,
have a really
$150.
good question in chat, though, and I want to talk about this a little bit. Goyo said, why is the DNA chip considered the gold standard? And I think the answer to that question is because there have been, since the first off, I mean, Evolve was really the first people to do wattage.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they were the first people to create the concept and idea of variable wattage in vaping, which, in my opinion, is a better way to vape because it's not coil dependent, which is really nice to be able to put something at 17 watts and get a relatively similar vape to another 17 watts or 20 watts or 30 watts, 40, whatever the case may be. So a whole bunch of vapors. There's the German guy that we talk about and share his charts. Phil and a bunch of vapors all over the place have tested a lot of these chips next to the DNA. And the reason why the DNA and Evolve chips are still considered the gold standard is because they're still to this day the most accurate chips available. 17 watts is the closest you're going to get an actual 17 watts on an Evolve chip compared to other things. Now, Yeehee's getting really close, and I think the SX Mini J chip is a really good chip,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it has some really great functionality that Evolve doesn't have right now.
Right, and yeah.
I still think Evolve's just a smidgen more accurate on that point, and we scale things to what we have that's the most accurate.
Right. But if you're going to be talking about accuracy, because every chip is going to have the one up on the other on certain things, right? And also, we're talking about let's say if you say the J chip, that's been out for some time already. So it's one of these things that people need to start realizing that the vaping market is just going to speed up even faster. Every month, stuff just comes out, and it's like by the end of the month, who cares about that? Moved on to the next. And I'm serious. I mean, and people forget companies are spending, millions in research and development on some of this stuff, and it's like, I mean, how long has the DNA-40 been around? Less than a year.
Yeah.
Right? And it's
October or
already,
something?
yeah, it's already on to the next one, and continuing. So for us as consumers, I think that's good, because it's good and bad, right? So you get to see the new stuff coming out, but it's kind of reminding of iPhone 4, iPhone 5, 5S, 6.
Oh, totally.
So it's and that's the thing is, someone's going to get a mod and they're going to be like, oh, a month later, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. I saw as soon as the DNA-200 picture started hitting the internet, man, those posts just started saying, and shit, I just bought a DNA from Vapor Shark, or I just bought this or that. It
But
doesn't mean you can't own the
your
other one.
product. It really doesn't.
Correct.
I'm sitting here with a desk full of DNA-30 devices that I still use every day happily without a single problem. I love my DNA-30s. Hell, I like my DNA-30s more than I like my DNA-40s.
Yeah. But I think things are starting to change in that aspect, Sean, because of firmware upgradable devices. Yes. Right? So you start out with a device, Yeehee was the first one to push that, where, with the SX350, you start at 35 watts, and then they release a software update, and then you were higher, and then you were higher. So I think with these new devices, you're going to start seeing, this device can do this, but we're going to gradually, extend features, and that's kind of like, I saw somebody mention CloudMaker, and their release is coming up here pretty soon. Yep. And that's kind of like, what they're doing. They're trying to make a device that, hey, so, 9 months down the line, the 3-cell lipos ain't the way to go. Boom, let's install, put this piece in there, and it's, I think different style battery.
What vaping's turning into, though, and where we're going with vaping, is the way we're kind of moving into the market. I think especially with Yeehee and Evolve, into the Android and iPhone market.
Yeah.
Where we're starting to get into stuff that's upgradable and that you can change and things that you can do different. But those are still eventually going to be outdated for a new chip. But we're starting to get to the point where, there's no way that these companies aren't borrowing ideas from each other. And they're not going, oh, that's good, let's incorporate, and let's do that, and let's incorporate from both sides. And honestly, the iPhone Android wars, just like I think this whole thing going on, is going to be really good for the market. Because the consumers are the ones who end up winning in that kind of situation.
Yep.
Because you end up with two really good products and people constantly trying to make a better product.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of the where we're going in terms of regulated vaping.
I'm excited about the user upgradable devices, though.
Me too.
Because really, something goes wrong, you have an upgrade for it. So
that's one of the things. I mean, to Sean's point, that's one of the things I was most excited about the Mini. I think it's a really good device, but the best thing about it is it's competition for Evolve.
Yeah.
It's a really solid chip, and it's going to push both companies to make a better product.
For a person like you, Anxie, that you hated that accelerometer. Hey, guess what? A week later, an upgrade comes out, and hey, you can turn off the accelerometer. Yep. So,
it's brilliant.
So I think we're moving. I might even say we're moving into almost a golden age of fucking regulated vaping chips right now. We're getting there, where it's going to be really good competition between two companies making really cool stuff and really forcing innovation to stay ahead. And I think that's really good for the consumer base.
DNA should stay nasty too.
It is. and not only good for like people wanting more wattage, but people wanting better features like upgradable firmware or safer vaping, right? I mean, like temperature limiting, all that crap. Even Gigi, I'm glad the Emio is doing what he's doing, because it's just another player in the game that's going to force everybody to work better.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
I agree. So to move on to that, because we're getting there, I do want to talk a little bit about Pittsburgh. And I want to talk a little bit about the kind of going to Pittsburgh and doing that event and Kevin and all that. And first I want to say to Massey and Axie, I really wish you guys could have come.
Oh, my, yeah. Fuck both of you for not being there.
Like, dude.
That would have been cool.
It was a really good event.
We had Kevin Skipper on last Monday to talk about VCC as kind of an experience and how he runs his conventions and stuff. And I gotta say, man, like, he runs a good show. I mean, it was mostly juice vendors, but that's what you get at every convention now. But he's picky about he's picky about the vendors that come in the doors. He's picky about the music that's playing. Like, it's all about providing a good environment for vapors or for people who are still on cigarettes to be able to come in and feel welcomed and find something. And I love Pittsburgh as a city, so we got to do a lot of like haunts in Pittsburgh, food and stuff that I took everybody out to. But man, the dude puts on a good show. Yeah. Like, I am probably gonna start doing all his shows because he puts on a really good show.
The weather was shitty though in Pittsburgh this weekend.
The weather was shitty, but the convention was great.
4 inches of rain last night.
And I mean, so to give you an idea of just kind of how the little bit of extra, he talked to the hotel. And he actually gave the hotel, this is the literature you should use if you want vapors to respect you and follow the rules. So, like, they had a sign up saying, you know, welcome VCC PA attendees. You're welcome to vape in this specific room and in the guest rooms. Please no cloud chasing while you're in the rooms.
Right.
And, I mean, a hotel using cloud chasing, right? Like, that's uncommon. But they were very receptive to it, and he gave them kind of the right wording for it.
Let them know they're cool.
It was a really good show. A lot of good vendors, a lot of cool people. We got to see a lot of friends. We got to hang out with these two fuckers.
Get a feel.
Both blitz.
Get a feel.
Dimitri and Phil.
Get it.
And a whole bunch of people.
Keep it going, keep it going.
It was
Here we go, here we go.
I was really impressed with this show. Really impressed with how this show was done.
Our booth was dope.
That's your cue to continue the conversation, Fu.
Crickets.
I just said our booth was dope. Yeah, it was good. I did some of my you know, just the usual convention photo bombing. Finally got to meet Dimitri. That was cool. I didn't get to play poker with them.
No, we went to see Jurassic World, actually.
We did.
The first night we went in, we all went to see Jurassic World.
You see a really cool guy in the credits?
Yeah, our very own Crescent City Clouds worked on Jurassic World. We didn't stay for the credit. We looked up to see if there was an anti-end credit teaser. I didn't even think to look for him, though.
Yeah, then we just left.
Yeah.
Christian Bale.
I don't care. Let's go.
Oh, you didn't say that.
Yeah, we tried to get you to stay, but you're like, fuck that.
I'm gonna.
No, but I did want to say, though, that Kevin, you could definitely tell the difference between somebody that actually cares about the community that's putting on a show as opposed to the ones that are just in it for the money. Summit. But so Kevin's definitely somebody that I'm gonna continue to support.
Same.
Yes.
It was like a good show. A lot of money went to advocacy, and we've been playing it all night. And we've been joking all night, but I still have to give huge props to fucking Phil Basardo for putting on his DJ hat after being hired for like 15 years and getting up and doing an entire couple hours to raise money for advocacy.
That's cool.
So I got to give him major props. I mean, pretty much every song was 15 years old, but I told him this too. He was probably an amazing DJ 15 years ago because he could mix and he had the flow perfect. And he killed it up there, man. He really did.
Drop.
Yeah, he did.
Bismarck Keys, Just a Friend came out in 1989. So,
just for the record.
For the record. That's when that came out. 1989.
Keep it going.
But and it was cool. So that the after party, the convention center's right along the river, and they didn't do the DJ party in the convention hall. They did it in the hallway, and they sectioned it off and they brought out tables and stuff. But the whole hallway is lined with big windows, with like a city view and a river view and views of all the bridges. So you get people up there fucking DJing to Pittsburgh City at night, all behind you.
Mm.
Yeah, Pittsburgh City.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
I didn't know. I've
But
been
yeah,
calling Pittsburgh all week.
it was a good event. It was a lot of fun and very tiring, as every event is.
Yeah, I mean, I did sleep a lot of my train ride home, but
I did find out that. Did you ever get the other video that I sent earlier, Masty?
Nope.
I sent a video earlier that I'm gonna have you pull down to play because I just want to share this with the world.
Okay, so send it again.
I'm sending it again right now.
Okay.
I want to share this video with the world because this features this will really give you a good idea of how metal Grim Green is.
Fuck yeah.
Like
All
just
right, give me a second.
how incredibly metal he is.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, metal. Satan.
All right. You know, while I'm downloading, actually, oh, okay, that was pretty small. All right, I'll pull it up right now. All right. And after that, I want to talk about the IPv4.
Absolutely.
Because, all right, here we go.
That needs to go straight to Instagram.
Come on, that was Kesha.
We must mention his easy listening jazz.
Oh yeah,
playlist.
we spent an entire night in Matt's room talking while his all-time favorite playlist of coffee table jazz was on.
So fucking metal.
Yeah, he's just incredibly metal.
Every metalhead listens to jazz.
this is true.
So true. Also, sometimes Kesha.
Don, your argument is invalid.
Sometimes Kesha in a sandwich shop.
Nope.
So Sean, before we get too far too, I wanted to show, this past week there was a few IPv4s that went up in flames. One was a guy had it not charging, not here's a picture of it, not doing anything. He just had on his nightstand. Luckily, it had a glass top on it where he had it set, and it just pretty much vented both batteries. That's one of the images, and here is the other one. There was about 3 of them that just went up for no reason. And here's part of the problem. So if you have one of these devices, do not take it apart unless you know what you're doing. Do not even take the cover off to look under it. Here's what happens. There is an area on the charging board, okay, that I'm going to pull up right now, that has, and again, I don't know why they did this, or if this is for sure the cause that's causing all these mods to just, basically catch on fire right away. But there's an area on this charging board, and you can see where the charging board is located. Here's the IPv4. Your battery's down below, and the charging board is right there. We're zoomed in on it, okay? Right above the batteries, right below the 510. All right, so there was a lot of issues. People saying, oh, well, Juice is getting down there and catching the thing on fire and all this other stuff. And in one of the mods that still has the cover on it, I don't have the picture of it, but you guys see that screw hole right there that we're zooming into, okay? Well, that screw hole is what holds down the cover, holds the plastic cover, but it's a metal screw hole that uses, you can ground out to the whole body. Well, on the board, down there on the bottom right, you see that there's like a black film. It looks like Kapton tape, but it's just a small little piece. And if that moves, there are 2 capacitors under there. And those capacitors are hooked up directly to the positive of the battery. So what happens is some people have taken their mod apart, and when they remove the cover and they put the cover back on and they put their batteries in and they're using their mod and maybe it shifts around, that can actually make contact with that screw terminal. And that screw terminal is metal, and that board drops just a little. I mean, the screw terminal is down below the board, okay, and you can kind of see the screw terminal on this one's deformed, from getting hot. And actually, that's a picture of a car. That didn't go in the car. I don't know what was in that one. But anyways, the screw terminal will short against it, and it will. I mean, that's pretty much a direct short from the positive to the battery. So people are saying, well, let's take the board out and stuff like that. So if you are inclined or want to take your board out, I'm going to post a link in chat of someone on Reddit who went through and has directions on how to remove the board from your IPv4 safely and not have the board, because they don't want onboard charging and they don't want to worry about it. Now, as far as I know, they haven't released anything about these issues and how they're going to fix them and all that stuff, so I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Somebody asked if this is speculation or forensic diagnosis.
So far, this is speculation, because I do not have an IPv4 in front of me, and I have not gotten it to to actually catch on fire for me. There's been 3 reports on Reddit so far that the short has happened when the board hits that metal screw hole. So and yes, so officially it's speculation on my part, because I do not have one. One hasn't gone up in flames, and but if that's the case and they're only using that small piece of Kapton tape, that can move, right? So tape will lose its adhesive properties if it gets hot, if you're not using the right kind of tape. And come on, our mods are going to get hot, especially if they're using metal to direct heat away from the 510. So it can happen. I mean, and now I can see also how if juice gets down in there, it can happen. So there you go. If you have one, don't take it apart if you aren't prepared to remove that board. The link was in chat, and there you go. So.
Do you have anything else that you want to cover, Masty?
Yeah, and the other thing I'm seeing more and more. Summer's starting to hit. Seeing more and more of the pictures like this. People leaving their mods in their vehicles, and this one I think it was in like the back cup holder. And I mean, you could tell how quickly that can do some damage, man. Those seats go up quick. It's that foam.
That foam core, man. Yeah.
You know what mod that was?
I do not know what mod it was. These were taken from a Facebook group that I believe has a few of these pictures on there, and just
don't leave your shit in your car.
Don't leave your shit in your car. I mean, you're asking for people to break in. I mean, we see the stories of somebody broke into my car and stole $1,000 worth of 2 or 3 mods that you had in there because you left them in your cup holder. So there you go.
Does anybody else have anything that they want to
looking out for you
talk about real quick?
I'm tired.
I got 2 more. First off, Stefan just reminded me, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, here, that's Tuesday, on Accessible Advocacy, right here at the homepage live, right here. We shared all the Truth About Vaping videos, right?
Yeah.
So tomorrow night, the mystery girl who's done the Truth About Vaping videos is going to be unmasked.
On Inside Vaping?
On Attainable Advocacy.
He's doing that on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh.
They rotate weeks.
Oh.
So tomorrow night, the mystery girl from the Truth About Vaping series will be unmasked. You will finally get to see who she is. I met her the other night. Lovely, lovely individual. I'm very excited for the unveil.
How lovely.
Very lovely. Lovely, lovely.
Lovely, lovely.
Lovely, lovely.
I noticed you said it twice.
Yeah.
So.
What Nick's wanting to know is she hot?
Lovely, lovely.
Get a feel.
I said how lovely, and then he said lovely.
I'm trying
lovely,
to be professional.
Which answered my question. That answered my question.
Nick, what does Dimitri have to say about that?
And it's also going to be, they're also going to show the first TV commercial that she created. That's going to be airing like on public television.
I saw real quick, Duro asked a question in chat about the Vapor Shark thing. We are going to be covering that tonight. So
we are?
On to your pantalones.
Wait, what are we covering something else tonight?
Yeah, we should talk about that Vapor Shark thing.
Nice settle.
E-liquid testing.
The juice.
Oh yeah, let's I'll tell you what, because Nick's been bitching that he wanted to come sit in the chair too.
I don't want to sit in the chair. I don't need to
So
sit in the
he
chair.
can come sit in the chair
He needs to bring the pillow.
while we talk about the
I'm
Vapor
bringing
Shark
the
thing.
pillow.
It's not a pillow, it's a boner cover.
Exactly.
Come sit in the chair while we talk about the Vapor Shark thing, just so he doesn't feel bad anymore.
See, if you didn't bring it, you'd have to like waddle towards the camera.
God, your chair's so comfortable.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, that Herman. Yeah, no, that Herman Miller he's no fooling.
Herman Miller?
Fooling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fooling.
It's if your butt is parked in the chair all day, Herman Miller's where to be.
But it looks so ugly.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest thing in the world. However, when you put your butt in it,
Ah, it's good.
very comfy.
It feels like farts.
It's kind of moist.
It feels like farts.
Master, you're gonna share the image.
Yeah, I have it set to go, so you can go ahead. All right,
Feel like shit.
there's the image.
Your lower
Yeah.
third's still up, Masty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're removing it. Removed.
So who wants to talk about it?
The mouse?
Well, I mean, I can bring it up and you guys can talk about it. Basically, user Burnt Wick, who has been on our show before, is Russ, posted and saying that Vapor Shark sent every e-liquid that they carry in their stores and online, and had them tested for diacetyl and acetopropanol, and some of the results supposedly came back extremely high. Some liquids tested positive for companies who have been saying that their liquid was free of DA and AP this whole time. All the test results are now on their website. Okay, so he basically goes on and says, kudos to Vapor Shark for taking on the expense to make sure that they can give their customers the information that they need to make an educated decision based on scientific analysis and not hearsay. So to get these part per million for each juice that you're looking at, you have to click on an individual flavor to access the lab results. Okay, so these are just some that he put up. Basically, some of the ones that he picked that had very high levels of these chemicals. But you can also
acceptable. Do we know what the acceptable rate is?
You know, someone posted about the NIOSH recommended levels, and but it goes back to the whole workers and working in flavor factories limit the exposure of diacetyl to 5 parts per billion,
right?
As time weighted average during a 40-hour work week. And see, this is always what it comes back to is what do we have to compare it to?
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. We have to remember that a lot of cigarettes had more than pretty much any of these.
Oh, yeah.
And the content of diacetyl in cigarettes had more than any of these, and popcorn lung was not a known issue with cigarettes. So while it's a best practice in the industry right now, we don't have anything surefire that's saying that these amounts of diacetyl or AP are going to be a serious health risk.
Yeah, and one of the things that another user, just say no to diacetyl, posted, he's talking about, okay, so let's say you vape 5 mils of Beard's number 51, per day. And he did the math, and it all comes out to, in a 15-minute exposure from vaping would be 96,000 nanograms compared to the NIOSH recommendation of 34 nanograms. So obviously, judging by the name, there's a little bit of bias on that side. So, they're talking about time-weighted averages in a lot of these. And these are the baselines that they're trying to use, which is the NIOSH recommended amounts. And I honestly don't think that using something from a flavoring factory that's in the air can be directly compared to with something that you're vaping. I don't know. I just I'm not an expert on this, and
I think that's why it's important to say that we don't know the actual effect of this from vaping. We're making assumptions based on a study that happened in a popcorn factory. But we also have to take into consideration the amount of diacetyl in cigarettes.
Yeah.
And in tobacco products into this as well.
And we also, I mean, we also should. Yeah, and we should also, say, and also if the stuff doesn't have to be in the juice, then why not? Let's move forward and work on. I mean, I know some people who have reworked their formulas to try to get as much out of it as possible. Dealing with different flavorings and all that stuff. So they spent the time and money to reformulate what they have. And some juices you just can't do it without having all that DA and acetopropanol. So, kudos to them that they're doing that. But yeah, if it doesn't have to be in the juice, then we can see the measurements. Then let's try to get it out of there if possible.
Why we should no longer have any juices with food coloring in them.
Yeah.
Juices still exist with food coloring in them?
Yeah, dude, somebody gave away like a liter of blue juice.
Oh, I have some blue juice.
There, and I'm completely against food coloring in juice.
So I have some blue juice, and I won't say who it's from, but the juice vendor told me that they don't put food coloring in it.
Right, the flavoring might have it in there.
They said
there's no blue flavoring.
Well,
I don't know if there's blue flavoring.
Surely
There's different shades of colors of flavorings.
No, yeah, there are some flavorings. I know, like the pomegranate and stuff like that, they're the pinkish, and I don't think it's food coloring. I mean, I'm not sure.
This was neon blue, the stuff that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think we should take that new Grim Cult beta and send it in for testing.
Oh.
Yeah, send it in.
And then
Hey.
Someone also posted the Mount Baker Vapor link, the truth about diacetyl, that was posted on October 20th, 2014. So you got both sides of the story on there, and I'll post that one in chat also.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. I mean, the best thing you can do is be educated about it. Look at the numbers, and I mean, some of the comments are great, and they're like, getting my popcorn ready because this thread's going to be full of diacetyl buttery goodness. So, I mean, it's pretty good. So, there you go. That was on Mount Baker Vapor. That link was from Mount Baker Vapor's site, and the image that we have up on the screen was from Vapor Shark's site.
Yep. Speaking of juice,
that cost some money sending all those.
How much am I allowed to say about your beta?
Whatever. Say something.
Flavor
Anything you can say about it? I didn't fucking get any.
Sure, Fu didn't get any, even though he helped name it.
He did.
He helped name it.
Yeah, he
What the hell?
So I just went into like this in-depth description of the juice and what I think about it while I was muted.
Like all the subtleties, ins and outs of the flavor complexity.
I knew it.
Everybody missed it.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
It tastes like bacon yogurt mixed with a dirty sponge.
Yeah. Loads of diacetyl.
So is that it? Are we good? Are we done? Are we going offline?
I think so.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks everybody coming out.
Toodaloo.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh, good. And
Nick
yeah.
Keep it going.